For the past couple of months, I've been inviting voice actors onto the show to ask their most pressing business and marketing questions. We've covered a lot of ground, and hopefully you've picked up some helpful tips along the way. Now, as we draw near to the end of the summer, we've got just a couple more summer series episodes left, and this week we are crossing the Atlantic for our guest. Welcome to the show, Anna Lawrence.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
So, looking forward to doing this. I'm sure that you have a brilliant, pressing question that I will be able to offer an intelligent answer to. Otherwise, this whole episode is just a write-off. So.
Pressure, no pressure.
Right on. So what is your question? What can I help you with?
Okay, so my question, as we're about to head into the fourth quarter of the year, we all know that you set goals at the start of the year. So in quarter four, do you do anything different in your marketing strategy in the final push to achieving them?
So I think there's a couple components to this. I think doing things differently does depend on the goals that I've got left to achieve. And so, I mean, the first thing that goes along with that is, are you even reevaluating your goals as you've gone through the year, or did you just write some things down on a list in January and forget what you actually intended to accomplish, right? So you've got to know what the goals are. I do tend to maybe be a little bit more strategic with my targeting, or maybe reevaluate who I've been targeting if I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. So for example, maybe I've been focusing on e-learning primarily through the beginning and part of the year, but one of my goals was to really get documentary. So maybe I shift my focus now. Maybe it's time to shift gears as we come towards the end of the year, focus on documentary filmmakers and try to make that goal happen. So I think that's definitely one of the big parts of it is do you know what your goals are that you have left to achieve? And what are the practical steps that you can take in order to get closer to those goals? So that's definitely one of the things that shifts as I head towards the quarter, because I do want to finish the year strong. And I think for a lot of people, for a lot of voice actors, as we get towards the end of the year, you're tired, you're thinking about the holidays, you're questioning whether or not it's even worth it because everybody else is thinking about the holidays, particularly as we get into the fourth quarter, right? And I don't want to approach it that way. So I'm always trying to just reevaluate, what are my goals? What do I need to do to get myself there? What strategies or tactics do I need to shift, reevaluate, or double down on?
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm doing the right thing and I'm seeing the results, but I'm just not seeing the level of results that I want to see. And so maybe it's doubling down that's going to get me there.
Is there anything that you do at the start of the quarter, knowing that at the end of the quarter is Thanksgiving and Christmas, etc.? Is there anything that you can do to maximize knowing that that's coming, basically?
I do think that obviously there's a lot going on as we come towards the end of the year, right? You said it. We've got Halloween, we've got Thanksgiving, we've got Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and we've got the Christmas holiday season and all of that sort of stuff. And I do think that those things can certainly have an impact. So if you're a commercial voice actor, obviously there's going to be a ton of stuff going on in commercial. I mean, I've already seen people were recording this in August, and I've already seen people talking about auditioning for Christmas themed jobs and whatnot. And so that's the obvious answer on the commercial side. I think one of the areas that sometimes get overlooked, though, is on the corporate and e-learning side, because there can be big pushes in corporate and e-learning as you come towards the end of the year if there's budget left over.
Yeah.
One thing you do not want to be is a manager in a corporate space with leftover budget, because if that doesn't get used up before the end of the year, guess what? You're not getting that money back next year, right? When they're trying to make budget cuts or whatever. And so I have seen towards the end of the year big pushes on e-learning, cranking out a bunch of projects and stuff like that to try to get things done, get things wrapped up. And so I think that there are still a lot of opportunities that are there as well. So I'm always trying to keep myself on the lookout.
So like us, we're looking to maximize our end of year, and you think that companies themselves are actually more responsive as well, because they've got their targets that they wanted to hit towards the end of the year. So they may actually be more responsive at the start of the quarter, certainly.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the misconceptions. I think, again, we think that everybody goes into vacation mode, December 1st, it's all over. Or, for U.S. companies, once we've had the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, it's like game over. There's no point in doing anything. And I'm saying, no. I've had some of my best months towards the end of the year when people are trying to use up budget, trying to wrap up projects, trying to put a bow on things. And so I definitely think, like, for me, in my business, those are reasons why I am not letting my foot off the gas, so to speak, right? I'm continuing to double down, and I can look back over a decade of invoices and see bookings right up until December 31st every
Hmm.
single year. And so I think if you want to talk specifically about preparation for some of that stuff, particularly on the holiday side of things, a couple of things that I think you can be doing if you've done holiday campaigns of any form or fashion in the past, right? So that could be Thanksgiving, it could be Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it could be Christmas, could be New Year's, whatever. If you've done any kind of holiday campaigns in the past, building social media content around those holiday campaigns to
Yeah.
demonstrate that you have the ability to do it, you've done it before, right? That's social proof. So people, particularly your clients, if they're thinking about a holiday campaign, they associate that with you now
Mm.
because they've seen samples of that work. Creating targeted content around holiday themes, which could be social media content, it could be blogs, it could be Instagram reels, TikTok videos that have some sort of a holiday theme, and focusing on that, and maybe tying back into how your voiceover services can benefit their holiday
Hmm.
objectives. Obviously sending emails to clients and prospects to let them know what your holiday availability is. I mean, this is 101 stuff, right? As soon as you leave the studio, everybody needs you.
I
So
mean,
look for,
how much time do you take off at Christmas? I know it's an individual, it's a personal thing, how much you take, but
yep.
you're saying, you get busy towards the end of the month. Is pretty much Boxing Day's out the way, and then 27, 28, 29, 30th, they're working days for you?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah?
I mean, so for me, I certainly do try to take a couple of weeks off. Although generally I'm taking more of that off from the coaching side than I am from the voiceover side, because I will
Yeah.
keep myself available to do voiceover right on Christmas, Boxing Day, right, New Year's Day. I'm usually traveling or with family or whatever, and
Hmm.
so I'm taking that time off. But I'm not opposed to recording right up until the end of the year, and so I will send out an email to clients and prospects probably early in December, just giving them a sense of what my holiday availability will be. And if
Yeah.
I am going to be traveling or whatever, and certainly part of the reason for that is if I can prompt them to send me some stuff so that we can get it done, before Christmas
Before.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think that that kind of an email with your holiday availability, it's just a really great way to bring yourself top of mind and maximize some of those opportunities. I think something else that doesn't get done a lot is holiday greeting cards. And I'm talking like actual postcards. Like I'm saying, get a branded postcard made, write some thank you notes to every client that's hired you in 2023, and drop that in the mail, in mid to late November, and send that out, and that stands out, right? I think one of the things that we're always need to be on the lookout for is how do we stand out from everybody else? Well, what is everybody else going to do? Primarily they're probably going to do email,
They're going to send an email. Yeah.
right? But not
Yeah.
everybody's going to take the time to send those cards, and that is something that I've done in the past, and it has worked,
Hmm.
because there's something about getting an actual legitimate piece of mail that isn't a bill or a flyer or whatever. There's something about that now that actually does speak to
Yeah.
clients, and it actually does stand out. And so I think that if that's something that you've never done before, I think that's certainly something that is worth looking
Mm.
into. And then I think one other thing that you might want to try to do is creating some holiday themed demos. Maybe that's an individual spot or a clip, or maybe you already have those. Maybe you could go back to projects that you've done in the past and piece together a holiday related demo, or create some holiday related social media content around that. And so I think there's a few different ways that you can
Yeah.
maximize it. But I definitely think that the misconception is December is a write-off.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. And I get asked all the time, is it even worth it to continue my marketing efforts? What's the point? And I just think, I don't know where we got it in our head that everybody just shuts down in December, but I don't think that's the way that it works. And look, one other thing we didn't even talk about, not everybody celebrates
Yeah.
Thanksgiving,
Of course.
right? I mean, Canada does Thanksgiving in October. So
We don't
when
do it at all in the UK.
right. And so you're not shutting down when the US is shut down for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, you're not shut down, and not everybody celebrates Christmas. And so that's something else that you can take into consideration when there's a holiday going on in one place. Do you have leads,
Yeah.
prospects, clients somewhere else where there's not a holiday going on? And could you focus on sending some marketing emails and messages to those places as well? So I think there's still plenty of opportunities to be had as we come into the fourth quarter for the voice actor that's going to go out and get them.
Last question. When do you start making your goals for January in the fourth quarter? I know you use a Clever Fox planner. Do you
Yep.
start like in the last week of December, or is it something that you're already on earlier in the quarter?
I think there are always some goals that come up, as I get towards the end of the year and I start looking at either things that didn't get done this year that I know are going to have to carry over, or things that have come up through the year that have caused me to say that should be a priority or that should be a goal for the end of the year. So I think there's an element of that is always ongoing, but generally speaking, towards the end of the year, we will go up north to visit my wife's family. And when we go to visit my wife's family, I usually will book a hotel room so I can stay in a hotel. So I have a place where I can work and record, because grandma's house is insane and there's nothing productive happening at grandma's house. And so I will spend a day or two towards the end of the year there, just sitting in the hotel in the quiet and just kind of brainstorming it out, mapping it out, figuring out where I want to go. And I think that that's something that I started doing, not specifically going to grandma's house, but taking like a weekend and going away. I started doing that. I think probably the first time was around 2012, where I would just, pick a random weekend in December and just take off somewhere for a night or two with no intention or objective other than just being somewhere quiet with a different change of scenery where I'm not at home and there's not all the pressures of home that are weighing on me, and taking that opportunity to really sit down and focus and think, okay, what am I going to do next year? What do I want to do next year? What is the priority? What am I going after? And starting to map all of those things out. And I know it's not something that everybody can do easily, right? You got a wife, you got a kid, you got a husband, you got family, whatever. You can't just leave the dog and take off for the weekend or whatever. But, even if you could go away for an evening or go sit at a coffee shop or something and just get into a different space and give yourself a little bit of bandwidth to sit down and come up with some of that sort of stuff, it really does make a difference. I wouldn't have accomplished half of what I've accomplished in my career over the last 10 years if I hadn't made that a priority to go out and focus on those things as we come into Q4, so that I'm ready to hit Q1 in the new year, hit the ground running.
Yeah.
All right. Hope that helps.
Good answer.
I look forward to hearing where you're going when you're ditching the family. You're going to be like telling the husband, like, Mark said I got to go for a weekend, so you're going to have to take the kids, and I'm just going to be booking a hotel in the country. I'm going to be sitting, I'm going to sit in a cottage in the country by the fire and plan out my year. It's for your benefit because it's going to help me to grow my business, earn more money, whatever. So let me know how that goes.
I will. Lead balloon is what comes to mind right now. But
all right, Anna. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and thank you for your question.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.